Hey there. Welcome back to these Conversations with No One, where I attempt to share my experience of living in a state of somewhat non-identification with my character and duality. This is the third conversation where I share stories from my character, and the next 2 or 3 videos are going to be quite dense in my character's experience and getting wrapped up in a lot of the stories that he's been spinning for himself. But the title of this video has 2 meanings, I guess. First off, this is a video about the new developments in my character's experience. Life has shifted and changed once again, and this new phase is proving to be pretty eventful. A lot of stuff going on, which is a big change from my usual days of peace. But as I navigate all this, all the things going on, there are also aspects of my character itself that are developing, and my relationship with my character. There are aspects that are developing as circumstances bring out new sort of facets of my post-paradigm shift character that I haven't had the chance to observe before. Being in new situations that I haven't yet processed at this level of non-identification is always fascinating for me, because it gives me a chance to observe how my character behaves. And so for me, this phase I'm in now feels like I'm starting a new season of my favorite show, and it's a season that's taking the storyline in an exciting new direction, only I'm in the show experiencing it as it all plays out. So it's kind of fascinating. So, what has this change been? Well, it's multifaceted. For the past 6 months or so, I've been working on a friend's property while camping in my bus. My friend owns a house and the property it sits on, but lives in an RV in the back. She rents out the house for income. And I've been there over the past several months helping to build, among other things, a massive wooden RV structure that accommodates 2 RVs side by side, and a sprawling wooden gate that surrounds a bigger section of the backyard to create a secure sort of compound-like thing, as I call it. And so my bus was parked outside the compound along the massive gate, so when the gate was partially opened, my doors opened inside of it. So that's been my situation. So for anyone who's lived a nomad lifestyle, this is a pretty ideal setup. There's power and sewage, use of tools and facilities, and paid work to be had on a laid-back schedule. To make this situation even better, the tenant she rents the house out to is a beautiful person who has an awesome puppy that needs a puppy sitter every weekend. So life was really good there for a while. There was a sense of community, but it was also kind of stagnant in its way. I was pretty much earning just enough to allow me to comfortably enjoy living and interacting with Portland, but not enough to do things like fix a broken window on my bus or take a road trip to Seattle to visit my mom and friends. So I knew it would be only a matter of time before I moved on to another opportunity, but as usual, I was in no rush. And I always leave eventually, just as I always come back to my friends who will have me whenever the timing or opportunity presents itself. There are multiple places I love being and multiple groups of people I love spending time with, but since I can't experience all of them all at the same time, I live on wheels. Another aspect of living and working in this compound was the constant navigation of a challenging personality type. This is my friend who owned the property, whom I've known for about 5 years. And the time that I've known her, she's struggled greatly from emotional and mental disorders that created chaos in her life and relationships. I met her during a time when she was doing really well, but also watched as she sabotaged everything she had built up and completely sort of lost herself to past and present trauma, both real and imagined. And it was really sad. It was really tragic to see and impossible to help with. So we eventually lost touch for a while as she took a journey to bring herself back to functionality, I guess. She moved into her RV and traveled around the country for a while, like it was over a year, I think. Eventually coming back to the West Coast to settle down. And I was really proud of her for all the hard work she'd done and more than willing to help out as much as I could. And this turned out to mean only helping in material ways, as she wasn't really in a place where she was receptive to other perspectives or wanting to discuss things on a deeper level. So we had very few sort of authentic, open, honest conversations. And it's really hard to watch someone suffer from their stories and having to let them, because that's all they really want. I had hoped I would at least be a calming influence, and I probably was for a while, but the details of how all that went horribly wrong, I'll put in another video. My next 2 videos are going to be called Confronting the Narcissist, parts 1 and 2. And so the story of this friend, my interactions and what happened there, that'll be in part 2. There was a narcissist story that came before that that's kind of a precursor that sets the whole thing up. So, but as dramatic as those stories are, the life actually happening around this most recent one has actually been richly positive and expansive. The piece I'd returned to in my last video only lasted a few days. My friend who had moved on needed to come back, so this time we set her up in her own tent in the compound so she could have space and privacy for her and her 2 kitties. Luckily, she's an avid festival goer and experienced camper, so this was a little piece of heaven for her. She got a new job working 40 hours a week at a dispensary, which led to another opportunity for her to work the door at a small music venue, which was right next door. And we had a great week or so, and everyone enjoyed the new dynamic sort of community in the compound. And then luckily for me, the music venue asked her to work more shifts than she could handle, so she brought me in to meet them, and I'm now working the door there a few nights a week over the weekends. Not sure if I've mentioned this before, but I've worked doing club and event security and production for most of my adult life, starting in the 80s in the all-ages punk scene when I was 19 years old, I also had several bands and performed consistently for about 20 years, all while having a real job that paid the bills, of course. Hey guys. I love this beach, dog park beach. But anyway, so getting involved in, let's give them a second. So anyway, as I was saying, getting back into this world again, working at a club where there's live music going on. It's a fun development. It's exciting. I'm excited to see sort of where this experience or how it develops going forward. Now that I'm consistently out in my element again. And then the other cool thing about that is not only is this venue one of the first I hung out in Portland. It's that way because it's just blocks away from another friend in Portland who was the only one I knew when I got here. It's like several blocks from her house. And so I have a street right near there that I can park on anytime that has a permanent nomad resident who's lived there for about 3 years in sort of a Mad Max kind of vehicle. So whenever I park there, I have neighbors to say hi to and friends in the neighborhood. So while working at the door at this new music venue, I of course ran into my friend who lives nearby and her roommate the next night, and they got to meet my friend who I brought down from Seattle, and everyone got on like a house on fire. And they also had a very cheap room in their basement opening up, which she was able to snag. And so now suddenly all my friends are living in the same house right near the venue that I'm working at. And the people at the venue have become friends because I kind of knew them before. So there's this whole little sort of community happening right around that little neighborhood. And I get to add value by working with people who also love the area and the community. So not sure yet where I'm going to land with my bus. I don't like to be off grid for more than a couple of weeks. I at least need to recharge my solar after that, and it's much better in the heat to have electricity. But I have about 17 days to think about it because I've got a random house sitting opportunity. And now suddenly I've been offered a second door job at the club one of my other friends works at, and several bookings for house and pet sitting. So it's kind of like my whole summer suddenly filled up with opportunities. My friend that I rescued is thriving in a way she hasn't ever experienced, and I've already got to witness her adding value to the community I already had around me. So I'm just thrilled to have a seat at the table where I get to watch it all unfold. And yeah, sure, there's going to be some chaos and most likely quite a bit of drama, a lot of stories going on, but I feel it'll be good work and definitely not boring. I do have a suspicion that I'll be making more videos about these developments as this eventful new season of my character stories continue. So that's it for me now. Thanks for listening, and now to get into these two stories about the narcissist next. That's going to be fun. If you like personal drama, other people's personal drama, stay tuned. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.